Hey, Mike Osterman, eXp Realty with your Sacramento County foreclosure update for the month of June. A lot of things going on, a lot of headlines out there. Foreclosures are spiking across California. This is there's an Adam report that came out that talked about 10 states where foreclosures are going up. It's it's a little newsworthy. It's there's some areas that are doing more foreclosures than others. We're going to look at Sacramento, how many foreclosures are in the market, how many houses are for sale, what's going on with that whole place. Um, as foreclosures spike across California, you can look at some areas, hotspots. They say Lake County, Shasta County, Sutter County, and Mendocino County. Now, for those of us that live in California, we know that those aren't the most populated areas. Those are the smaller areas, smaller counties, different income statuses, different demographics than other areas. So we're not really kind of concerned about that, but we are paying attention to it as we watch foreclosures across the state, as we've also peaked in price. Um, excuse me, for some of those that know that foreclosures typically follow a peak in price, and we're going to figure out where that's at. Some of the uh, going back to the Adam report with the counties, the states, starting with Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, California is in the top 10. It seems to be all these states have higher rates of foreclosure. Again, more demographics, more information about those states than others. Typically, coastal states have more equity, people move in and out, and we're going to look at that here in a second. Um, How many foreclosures were filed in June? 302. So that's trustee sales and that's notice of defaults. If you're not familiar with the notice of default, that's the first notice followed by the trustee sale, which means the trustee is preparing to sell the house. About 90 days for the notice of default, 21 days for the trustee sale. And it's not a lot. I don't have another chart from the year before. My data wasn't working. So it's not enough to drive the prices anywhere, right? You're not going to have an appraiser drive down the street and say, "Oh, geez, there's a foreclosure." You're going to have, as you'll see in a minute, houses for sale. Appraisers are just going to just ignore that house. It'd be like a probate where somebody died in the house or something like that, where something is a little abnormal. But it's still something worth paying attention to as these things start to spike. As people want to make uh, housing plans, maybe they want to move. Maybe they're a flipper. Maybe they're a developer. Um, you're always hearing good information out of the industry, but what's actually on the street is two different things. Unemployment rates at 4.1%. Again, you can see historically, this isn't a huge, um, let me get myself out of the way here. This isn't a huge deviant like we saw in 2020 or in 2010 or here in 1980 something. Um, it's not terrible. Um, Certainly the jobs drive foreclosures, so we pay attention to it, but it's not off the charts something that we're really going to be, it is low. Is it going to go up? Probably with the current status of our politics, excuse me. Um, Gas prices going up, inflation, those types of things. They all play a role in the affordability, how much people are going to spend on a house versus how much they're going to be able to live on. And in California, because equity grows faster because of the demand, people are willing to give up a lot of other amenities just to be able to have that house, capture that appreciation, which keeps the demand up. One of the things you'll notice about California, if you've been here long enough, is that as houses become less affordable, demand goes up. As they become more affordable, demand goes down. For example, in 2010, I think it was 2009, I bought a house in Vallejo for 50,000. And I'm not saying that to brag, but nobody was buying houses. I was the only one that showed up. And then I bought another one and another one, but they were available. There were so many houses available. And that was due to the housing crisis back in 1980. Before that, it was the savings and loan crisis. It's good to know these things because if you're an investor or speculator, you want to pick up a house for a long-term rental as your investment portfolio. Um, when's this going to happen? We don't know, but we have the kind of the tea leaves to tell us what to do. Again, here's a historical interest rates. We're really not that high. This is 6.49%. I don't know what it was today. It's August 19th. So they're floating right around in there. I know the administration is trying to drive them down, but I think we're holding tight for now. The median sold in Sacramento County. 575,000 was the median price, up from 560 in May and up from a year ago in June 2025. Um, the price change 2.6, year over year 4.7, sales month to month 9.3. So all this is good stuff, good healthy market. But when you get to the sales year over year, you can see the drop. It's almost 50% from 18 to 9.3. So that's a big change. Not going to change too much in what we're doing, but we're paying attention to it as things are starting to soften. And you're going to see here in a minute people are leaving the Bay Area, California, for other more affordable areas of the country. How many houses are for sale? 4,200. And this is just off of Zillow, right? Basic stuff, bedroom, three bedroom, two bath for sale. I think, I'm not sure what it was. Property type, single family house. So if you include land, all kinds of other things, there's probably more. But for, kicks and giggles, 4,200 is about where it's at. Plenty of houses for sale. I know that they're building more affordable housing. If there was a way to put it to merge that gap, we wouldn't have to build so much housing. I realize it's a whole nother conversation, but there's plenty of houses for sale. It's just people wanted to be able to afford them. Last month there was 1,800 houses that sold. So of those price, going back to those prices, that price change, 2,000. That's roughly the number. So good healthy market seems about right. Not struggling to sell anything, not too many houses there. But this is where it gets interesting. And now I'm on realtor.com and if you're Googling news about real estate, which I do because I want to, talk about it, it's what I do. Um, and you see that Sacramento inventory shrinks as home sells faster than the nation. When I hear that inventory shrinks, that tells me that people aren't interested in selling. That tells me that, or if you read it, you say, "Oh, well, people are selling their houses. There's not the inventories. Um, they're struggling to find inventory." Well, we just saw that there's plenty of houses for sale. So you kind of have to read the tea leaves of what it is that they're trying to say because this next headline, and this is the same article, active listings fell while new supply ticked up. So as inventory shrinks, supply ticks up. I mean, they're saying like they're just the news is tough, and that's why we have the charts to help us understand what's going on with price. And ultimately, in the Bay Area or the coastal California and the East Coast, the price it's like it goes up, it goes down, it goes up, and it goes down. If you're buying a house right now, thinking that you're going to get appreciation over the next decade, you're completely missing the point. But going back to the price, the average listing price is 625, days on market's 46, and the listings with price cuts 23. So this is kind of interesting because as you see the listing price at 625, and I just showed you what was it, 575 was that median price. So that 23% going up of those houses, those price cuts continues to grow. And one of the slides I'll show you is that there's a huge chunk of people that list their house and then they have to make an adjustment. And that's either on the realtor side or I know a lot of homeowners I talk to are like, well, the house was worth this one day. And I always have a comp to point to that says, okay, we can justify that. But then when the market, the feedback when you list it and you do all your work, the feedback you get really tells you what the house is really worth. I've had houses go over asking and I've had to make adjustments. And then here's the last part of that article. I couldn't fit it on the whole thing. Prices held steady while the nation softened. Um, we just talked about price adjustments, right? So it's always tough to read, and especially this is an industry newsletter, so they're always trying to put the shiny stuff on top. Um, and this is just median price versus July of 2026 prior year. I'm not sure what that means. Anyhow, um, Sacramento sellers held their ground on price while much of the country gave ground. The median list price stayed flat year over year, 625, even as it slipped 25 for buyers. That stability offered little affordability relief. So going back to what we were saying, they are dropping their price. Again, they're trying to make they're trying to shine this up as much as possible. That's why we look at the numbers. Um, Out of curiosity, I wanted to know how many houses had were underwater. Because houses that are underwater, you have a job change, you have a death in the family, you have some sort of life change, divorce. Um, you may want to sell your house, right? And for a lot of people, they don't care about the equity. They're just like, this is where I live. I got my job. That's what I'm going to do. No big deal. Other people will drive from uh, uh, their house in Sacramento to San Francisco. Traffic's a nightmare, but you're getting so much equity in your house, you really don't care because it's just working for you at that point. If you buy your house today and you're expecting appreciation over the next decade, it's not going to happen. And that comes back to a couple of factors we'll talk about. And I'm hoping to have on a short sale specialist who's going to talk about the short sale process as we're going to start to see more and more of those as things start to change over the next couple of years. California median price from 68 to 2026. The yellow is the 17% affordability. And that's where we've kind of used that number, the affordability index, as where demand leaves the bill, where demand leaves the state. If you look closely here, going back to the 80s, after 17%, price flattened for about 4 years and then started ticking up. 89, again, flattened out, drops, and then it starts to increase. Maybe because people realize after the fact that, hey, it's more affordable to live in California than it used to be. If you're hammering nails on a roof in Texas in the winter and you can get the house for the same price, you'd rather work in California than in Texas. Coincidentally, we're going to come back to that because that's where people move to. And then you can see back in 2025, 2005, during the housing crisis, prices dropped. And again, um, lots of houses for sale and nobody was buying them. It's very affordable. Nobody wanted the stuff. And then as it became more affordable, prices start to climb. We move back up. And then you can see in 2022, we hit that affordability index of 17%. We're holding tight at this number right here. And I can imagine that we're going to see another drop down into, the prior highs, maybe a little lower as price changes. I'm not sure and nobody has a crystal ball, obviously, but with the current administration, the inflation, unemployment, all these things are going to come into play. What's going to drop prices? I don't know. Back in 20, before it was the housing crisis. I think this was the savings and loan scandal, and I'm not sure what happened back in the 80s, but you can see that flow is starting to happen there. So I'm expecting more foreclosures over the near future. Housing has become, this is from the PPC, the Public Policy Institute of California. Housing has become the dominant reason people cited for leaving California. Housing, work, and family. It's just unaffordable. Uh, And you can see from 20 to 24, people were, that was that first housing crisis. And then we're going through the next one here. Again, housing is the real estate is the business of California. If you think about all the jobs, it pulls all those things. Where do people move to? They're moving to Dallas. They're moving to Nevada, Arizona, Washington, Florida. Harris County, Houston, 5 million people. Gas prices are 353. I checked on this the other day. Crime rate's 1,100 per 100,000 people. It's more than double the national average. Whereas in Travis County, it has Austin, million people, 358 for gas, 470 per 100. It's the 26th safest city in the country. Dallas Fort Worth, 8 million people, 373 for gallon. Crime rate's 370 for 100K. Looks like it's pretty safe as well. But here's the thing, 8 million people. I don't know how many people live in Southern California, but in LA, it could be 8 million. I got to check on that number. Um, but that's a lot of traffic. We were down there for a couple things over the summer, 8 lane freeways. You got to hit the freeway doing 90 or you're going to get crushed. I mean, it is fast paced, a lot of stuff going there. $800,000 house. What does it get you in Austin or Houston here? You got a nice updated house here. This house has been on the market for a little while. It's not a big lot, but I was checking it out just for, kicks and giggles to see what was going on. But it's a nice little place. You got a family of four. You got 4 bedroom, 3 bath, 2,400 square feet. You're getting more bang for your buck here. In Austin, beautiful property, lots of land, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, 2,100 square feet. I noticed that the price came down on this on the 24th. I'm hoping to have this agent on. I want to talk about Californians moving to um, Austin or Texas as the stats show us. And then in Dallas, beautiful house here, ranch style house, 2,300 square foot, 3 bedroom, 3 bath. And I realize these are 800,000. They're kind of out of our price range. I live in Marin County, so 800,000's uh, almost a fixer upper in where I live. So apologize to Sacramento County for that. Here's a California property update for June that I did for the California report. It just gives us an idea of all the things that are um, taken into account. I like the affordability index. You can see how the affordability goes up along with the median price over here. Let me get myself out of the picture. And you can see how it ebbs and flows and how it works together, how this whole thing starts to piece together based on that affordability index. Again, the more affordable, the less people want it. The less affordable, the more people want it. And our current foreclosure status in the state, foreclosures really haven't done much. They really haven't done much. And you can see the 17% back in 2005. It took a while, 4 years before that thing spiked up, and then it came down on the other side. I imagine we're going to see something similar. I don't know what form it's going to come in. What's going to make people do that, like we had before with the housing crisis? I'm not sure what the next one's going to be. The last slide, this is one of my favorites, and I talk to my clients about this one because when we talk price, a lot of people are like, well, we have this here, we have that there, we can do this, or we can do this. I think this is a great price, and you can justify it all you want, but at the end of the day, there's 35, and this is Marin County, Bay Area, San Francisco. This is Marin, Napa, Sonoma, Solano, Contra Costa, which I think you could take any segment of any city, county in area, I should say, in the Bay Area, Southern California, and you're going to find similar numbers. 3,500 houses were listed last week, and 2,400 of them had price reductions. That's the green and that's the pink. The good news is, if you look over here on this side, the sold or the closed, 2,300 houses closed out of the 3,500 houses that are for sale. So that's pretty crazy. I'm thinking about this right now, and this is just, I kind of look at this stuff. I don't think about it. But if we had 3,500 new houses, well, yeah, and then active listings, 35 and 2,300, yeah, there's a lot of houses being sold, and there's 2,000 pending sales. So wheels of commerce are still turning. A lot of houses for sale, a lot of opportunities. If you're looking for a new home, let's say you want to move from Tiburon to Sacramento and you want to downsize because you have a two-story house, empty nester, take that great tax rate with you. Look for these people that have price reductions. Make a deal. People are looking to sell. They want to move. Some are more motivated than others. But there's definitely opportunity out there, and it's up for grabs. So go get it.